I'm glad that we can hold this hearing and really do look forward to the testimony. I appreciate all of you all being here. I've had the opportunity to read your testimony, and it really is very helpful. With high unemployment and economic hardship hitting many families, in fact, I think almost all families, I believe today's hearing is very timely, and it will help us answer a number of questions, such as, at what point do regulations become counterproductive by driving blue-collar jobs, manufacturing jobs, energy sector jobs overseas to countries with lower standards and more pollution? Are we properly analyzing regulations to make sure we count all the costs and the benefits? And how can we best support market-driven incentives like on-bill financing to increase energy efficiency and renewable energy? I think today's witnesses will give helpful answers to some of these questions from their perspectives. Let me also say again, good public policy will lead to net job creation, while at the same time promoting conservation, clean air, and clean water. Job creation should include, but not be limited to, green jobs. Bad policies may create jobs, but they will lead to greater losses in other areas. We must consider which policies actually work and which policies have severe unintended negative consequences. I've said before, Congress should not rubber stamp every policy that is labeled green. There are a lot of steps we can take to make sure our companies are successful. One of our witnesses that we're happy to have, for example, is in the steel industry. His company, Nucor, has approximately 1,500 employees in Arkansas. They have the capacity to recycle 6 million tons of steel annually in our state. The U.S. steel industry has significantly reduced its energy intensity and its emissions over the last 20 years, and our domestic industry is the cleanest steel industry on the planet in terms of energy intensity and emissions. We need to make sure industries like this can afford to comply with new regulations that could drive up the cost of energy and give their overseas competitors an unfair advantage. Again, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for holding this very timely hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree. I think conservation is something that we all agree is very, very important, and it's good for business. One of the low-hanging fruits out there is energy-efficient motors. Getting rid of some of these old motors, giving incentives to do that, and certainly that's good for your business, Mr. Rowland, and many other businesses. On the on-bill financing, Mr. White, is there a limit to, if Mr. Rowland's company wanted to, get efficient, is there a limit to the amount of money that how big can the company be to participate? How big can the loan be? Or is there a limit, or how do you do that?
Yeah, so specifically to your question, as it relates to our small business program, typically we would give a 70% incentive, and then the financing would be on the rest of the 30%. So it's a proportion of the overall project costs.
Up to how many dollars?
I don't have the answer to that question right now. And what we see during our in our different customer types is some of those customers, so like Mr. Rowland's company, would actually probably work with an ESCO and get better, more attractive, holistic projects, which it sounds like from their website they're already doing. So we don't have a specific cap that I'm aware of, but our programs are more focused on small business and municipalities.
No, I think it's a great program, a great idea, and it seems to be very successful. Are you allowed to, add the administrative cost to the program?
Yes. Yes. Our energy efficiency programs are state regulated, and the administrative costs associated with those projects are all included in our budgets.
Very good. I appreciate your testimony, Mr. Kempf. I was surprised really in both of yours, well, all three, that the payback, in some cases was pretty significant, and pretty quick. So I think it's a great program, and I think it is something that we need to support. And I look forward to, to working to strengthen that. Mr. White, you've heard the concern from Mr. Rowland and Dr. Smith. Are you concerned about the impact of the four things? How much how much is an entity? You're a lot of natural gas. Are you concerned about the increase in electricity cost? Or better yet, are your customers concerned if natural gas does go up 11% as predicted?
Yeah, so we're, what I would say is in interacting with our customers, which is the part of the national grid that I work with, our customers are always concerned with the rising costs of energy. And the solutions or the tools that we provide are the energy efficiency programs. I can't really speak to the specific items that were addressed by the other panelists.
But you've discussed that in meetings and things. Give us...
Yeah, see,
I mean, the reality is if all four of those go into effect, your costs are going to go up significantly. And what percentage are in the on-bill financing program?
So could you ask that question again?
What percentage of your customers are in the on-bill financing program? Very small, I would suspect.
Well, but it's a growing percentage.
But the reality is if the four did go into effect, the vast majority of your customers would be impacted by an increase in their utility rates.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with the impacts or the measurements that were discussed here. What I can speak to is sort of the customer-facing or customer interaction programs that we have with our energy efficiency programs. The impact of proposed legislation is not really my area of responsibility.
Okay, but you do deal with customers.
Yes.
And if your customer's electricity bill went up significantly, your businesses and your individuals, the single moms, and then it was realized that was due to these four things going into effect, I doubt that the polling would be very good as far as support for the four things that were put in place.
Yeah, again, I can't speak to the polling or the impact of the four things that were mentioned.
But in dealing with customers, they would be concerned about the increase. So,
yeah.
And I don't want to beat a dead horse. You understand what I'm saying.
I do. Yep.
And these are big things. They really are. I know in Arkansas, one of my frustrations is we're losing our manufacturing, and it's a huge deal. And we've got to, as a nation, address how do we do that. But one of the basis of that is certainly, reasonably priced energy. And so we do have to figure this thing out where we're able to provide reasonably priced energy, but also to meet the conservation needs, not conservation, the environmental needs that we need to do.